Game begin.
Hello and welcome to the Spike Colony podcast. Mike, it is 2 weeks until Lobstercon. I haven't picked a deck. What would you pick if you were in my position?
I mean, 23andMe, is that on the table?
All right, let's get this out of your system.
Now, in all seriousness, first choice Burn, second choice Replenish Ray.
You love Burn still.
Is there
any rational part of your brain that's picking Burn, or is it just your heart?
Okay, so actually, it's because of the half of a podcast I was on with Billy last week. Once you just control for the good decks, Burn has basically the same win rate as Mono Blue 12-12. And so it's just basically the same.
Break that down for me. Break down what you think that you're saying right now.
I'm saying, okay, let's say all of us in our decision making Pew Matrix is a combination of things, right? In the immortal words of Patrick Chapin, if you're not net deck at least 80% of the time, I would say if you're not brew at least, I can't remember what percentage of the time he said, you have no heart. But if you're not net deck at least, and then another percentage of the time, you have no brain.
Yeah.
That's the famous Chapin line. So, all of us are a combination of no heart and no brain. And I'm just saying, all right, the brain part of me is just okay, let's look at this. Yes, 12-12, Mono Blue 12-12, the Doctor Surf and Surf, Doctor Surf and Turf, the champ, whatever you want to call it, has the best win rate. But once Billy took some of those things out, it has basically the same adjusted win rate as Burn. And I feel like the part of me that is...
I feel like you're being really liberal with your basically's here.
It's basically,
because we're talking 52.8% versus 49.4% into, what we can surmise is roughly 70% of the matches. I had a listener reach out and sort of basically say, of course, you can make a pretty reasonable inference if the least popular deck is played at 2%, and we know that 2% basically sits around somewhere of 230 matches or whatever, which means our data set is something around 10,000 matches. You can then kind of basically infer that 70% of games are being played with at least one of the decks being the top 16 most popular decks.
Lanny, I don't want to talk about a level of numbers that I, as a professional statistician, would not be comfortable with. You're saying a lot of numbers. All I'm saying is 52% and 49%. If we were building the Leaning Tower of Manhattan, that... the Leaning Tower of Manhattan, right?
Yeah. Both of those would cause the Department of Buildings to shut down our operation.
The Leaning Tower of Manhattan would be equally happy, Mike, or unhappy.
You don't have to argue your way out of this. You can just accept the fact, which is 49.4% is a very, very bad win rate for a deck of choice. You just don't want to be under 50.
So here's my thing. I would err on the side of Replenish over 12-12, and I would side on 12-12 over Tide Control. Right? I think the decks you can reasonably play are 12-12 Tide Control, Terrageddon, and Burn, and Replenish. And I don't want to play I don't want to play one of the clunkers, but Terrageddon's a clunker, and 12-12 is easy to beat if you really want to beat it. It's Burn and 12-12 have that in common. Not that they're easy to beat in the same number of individual matches. Obviously, Burn is easier to beat in an individual match than 12-12 is. But if you just want to pick up 2 losses and not make top 8, people who are trying to beat 12-12 are going to beat you at the same rate as people who are trying to beat Burn. So it's just the same. Look, the numbers are not precise enough. We're not doing a blackjack team here, right? A big part of this is vibes. And
yeah, but you have
Burn
much
gives me the story, my friend.
You have a much smaller hill to climb if the deck of choice starts off with the numbers behind it, right? Because
with three greater percent.
you have to start with basically this idea that this deck is going to have a higher win percentage. And if you're like baseline, a deck like Replenish already wins at 57%, then you can just be like, well, I just need it to win at 65%. It's much harder to be like, well, I'm going to start with this deck that on average wins 49.4%. And then I'm just going to like try to climb the mountain of the 15 added percent.
Replenish. If I had to do it today, it would be Replenish or Burn. I would play black green in the Friday tournament, right? So 100% if I was going on black green in the Friday tournament. And that's just going to gets my nonsense out of the way, and then I can become a killer for Saturday, right? Like, right. I don't know, but I'm telling you, 100% I'm on black green because I can play Overgrown Tomb. Like the amount of upgrade you get on Friday playing Overgrown
Tomb.
Right,
a little bit of context here.
Insanity.
Mike is talking about the Shockland tournament, which has a pretty low registration rate amount. People either want to play Unchained, which is unban one card, or they want to play just vanilla pre-modern. There's a small cadre of people who are interested in doing Shocklands. It's easy enough to run the side tournament, I think, so they might just run it anyways. But regardless, I mean, I don't know. I don't think that... So, to be clear, Hallowed Fountain and Replenish is more broken than anything, basically, because... Replenish is the only deck in the format that needs to have WWUU 2 generic with 4 to 7 soul lands in its mana base.
Here's my reaction to that. The upgrade from Flooded Strand to Hallowed Fountain is not that big compared to the
it's
from nothing.
It is gigantic.
To Overgrown too.
Well, you could make a case for that, but I just want to like paint you a picture.
I'm just gonna play Replenish in the real tournament.
I just want to paint you a picture. Why do I need
to play it in the nonsense tournament?
I want to paint you a picture of a deck that's trying to cast turn 1 Swords of Plowshares into turn 2 Attunement or Intuition.
Dude, I'm trying to watch 23andMe, and I'm watching people like play. Like they're just the same freaking fork, man. We have Counterspell and Swords of Plowshares, and sometimes you just got to play Coastal Tower there. I don't know, Lanny. I would play probably Replenish or Burn. And to be clear, I almost top 8'd last year on Burn, and I did top 8 with Replenish 2 years ago.
I actually do think Replenish is an excellent pick, and then I played it in this week's league, and I went 3-3. I probably pushed the list too far, of course. I just wanted to see what it would look like. I did a few things. I played Miscalculation instead of Mana Leak. I think that's like just great because Mana Leak decks are good to like not cast their Mana Leak the turn that they have it, but Replenish is a deck because it's got stuff to do on the main phase. It wants to be like, okay, you didn't cast something I need to counter. I'm going to draw a card because...
I mean, just having the card Miscalculation in your deck is like having a free Rishodon port, right? Like if people are playing around Mana Leak, they're like automatically playing around Miscalculation badly. Right? So... I love it. That's a cool idea. If I were to play Replenish, I'd probably play the list that I almost won the meetup with 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. You're just playing. You're playing rich main deck. You're playing rich deck main deck Mangu sideboard with different red spells.
With different. No. I'm not gonna. Both of them played 4 in Attunement. I'm not playing 4 effing Attunement, bro.
Yeah.
We're probably going 4 Frantic Search and a 25th land. I think that's better than 4 Frantic Search, 4 Intuition, now that I think about it. Because don't get me wrong, I love Intuition. All those cards are better than Attunement. But I think the land is more important than, another 3-drop when I still have so many 3-drops.
Well, Rich starts on 26 lands if you're coming from him.
So I'm compromising here, right? So the deck that I played only had 24, and I had to get a little lucky to do as well as I did, and then I ended up losing to green creatures.
Right.
But so Replenish and Burn, and I think Burn is an excellent choice for me. I don't think that it's an excellent choice for Field. We already declared Burn dead a few months ago.
Yeah.
You have to be a little bit on the lunatic fringe in order to make this decision, and I'm willing to embrace that. I am the town crazy.
I would be okay with playing Burn with like the knowledge that some people are not going to play a lot of Burn hate, but like that is made up for by like the amount of ways in which like Armageddon is already a burn hate card, and it's just a card that Terrageddon is interested in playing for free. So like Terrageddon might defeat you without ever casting a Warmth or Zurin Orb.
One of the things that I found to be weird was I've historically thought that Terrageddon was a cakewalk match for burn, like a cakewalk match, like super easy. And then, I saw the Duress Crew data and then I tested it myself. And these Terrageddon lists that have developed over the last 2 years are much better against burn than the versions that some werebear decks that were getting raffle stomped 100% of the time. They're just so much better at putting up resistance. I love that deck that SWB and has been playing that Rich innovated. That if I had 5 decks I might pick from, that's definitely one of them.
Guy's Blessing Terrageddon, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually like if different people are looking for different experiences in their lives, right? Let alone different experiences in pre.
You're just looking for abundance.
Yeah. So when I say I'm going to play Overgrown Tomb, it's because I just have a different experience, right? Like this is close to the pre-modern experience, but I get to do something cool and different, and I up-leveled my deck substantially. But man, if you have never had Sylvan Abundance in play, right? Like it is wild.
Yeah, Sylvan Abundance is like pretty disgusting. We had like a point where SWB put like the second Sylvan library into play, and Levine was just like, well, he's already got one. Why does the second one matter?
Now it's 5.
And then it's like 5. And it's like, okay, well, he's just going to hand size. It's like he also gets to choose land. So he gets a land. He gets to guarantee his land drop in 4 non-land cards. Like, and it's also just like
boxed, he can just name land twice.
Exactly. And he's a Guy's Blessing deck. So there is a lot of ridiculosity going on there. But
you can't feasibly lose once you get Sylvan Abundance in play, except to like Devourer.
Well, except to Replenish.
Actually, you can't even lose to Devourer.
You would lose to Replenish.
Yeah, okay. So you could lose to Replenish, but like not really, right? Like the deck has so many good cards. Like you wouldn't just tap out for this so that you could lose, right? Like that deck has.
What instant speed interaction do you think is going to help you out here, though?
Well, I mean, in a sideboarding game or in game 1. So like, I mean, in game 1, maybe I don't have any other play and I tap out for Sylvan Abundance, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, you're not going to win a game where everybody gets to see their decks, right? Like that they could just get you if everybody gets to see their decks. You need to like Terravore Armageddon them, and you have to have it resolve, or you need to like pin their mana with Wastelands and Rishodon Port. I guess there's only one Rishodon Port in this deck, because like you can draw all the Swords to Plowshares and whatever grindy elements you want. You could even get your Enchantment Destruction; they can still combo you out. That's not.
Well, yeah, like. To be clear, we have to remind people that Enchantment Destruction is only okay. You're still going to lose all your stuff. So, for instance, if your opponent puts everything into play, you're probably going to lose all your stuff. If your Enchantment Destruction is in the form of Seal Cleansing, you're definitely going to lose all your stuff. But yeah, so if you just have like Ray of Revelation and you're just kind of like, okay, so I've got all my Parallax stuff in play, and you're like, that's fine, I'll Ray of Revelation targeting Opalescence, and you're like, okay, in response, you have nothing. And then my Opalescence goes to the graveyard, and then but you have nothing.
And also to be fair, SWU was defeated when he was still in contention in the Duress Crew tournament last week by Rich, but Rich considers this the most dangerous matchup for his deck. So
I don't know why Rich considers it that.
Look, I'm not one to argue with Dr. Shea.
I mean, I guess I understand. I mean, I think that Tide Control is the worst matchup for Replenish, and the numbers back me up there.
So what I'd go with is basically. It's hard to lose. Obviously, you can fall. Like you could be comboed by Replenish. You could lose to a deck like Devourer. Not on the.
You'll lose to Elves.
Not on the Altar version, which would be hilarious if they tried to get you that way. But
to be clear, the Altar version is the Fling version, unless they.
No, on the Altar kill. Like imagine you.
They have Altar and Fling.
Yeah,
and to be like
the other deck.
To be like
right?
double clear, this deck contains only non-basic lands, so the Wasteland strategy is good. Unless they sneak it under you. But
Lanny, what I'm saying is like, imagine you didn't know the list, you didn't know they had Guy's Blessing, right? You might just go for the Altar kill. in which case that would be a disaster.
That's true, but luckily, everybody is listening to Spike Colony podcast, and they'll be well aware of what they need to play around.
So yes, obviously you lose your punch, but in the sideboarded game, you have a lot more counterplay if you're drawing 3 cards a turn, right? So it depends which color you go, right? If you go the blue color, you can have Meddling Mage and Annul are both cards that have text. And if you're the red version, you can at least slow them down with Pyroblasts.
I'm just going to skip to the point, which is just that you're mid-ranging harder than the next best mid-range thing.
So it's not only that, you are mid-ranging harder than Sam Black, right? Like, if you get this play, right? Like, this is a pretty good draw engine. Sam Black devoted 8 cards in his deck, and the rest of his deck is garbage to create the experience of Gaia's Blessing all of his Swords to Plowshares. This is only like 2 cards, and they're actually pretty good. Instead of like, all right,
abundance is pretty bad. It's a 4-mana enchantment that doesn't affect the battlefield. And
once they're but like, compare that to a 3-mana enchantment that doesn't affect the battlefield times 4 in a deck that's not an Enchantress deck, right? It's just like bending all of. I guess I'll play Seal of Fire as my creature kill card so that I can draw some cards that maybe replenish them back and deal 2 damage. Because like, all he really wants in life is the experience of Swords to Plowshares and Gaia's Blessing over and over again. And he is willing to bend to every kind of like, maybe we'll play some Hidden Gibbons. I guess these are pretty good in some matchups, just to sort of get into that experience. But the SWB deck, like, you get this together and the rest of your deck is pretty good, right? Like, it's just good cards.
Well, you got good cards and still, 36 mana sources or whatever.
Look, man, you know how I feel about these 36 mana source decks, but it's on my list of playable decks. But I don't think I'd go there. I don't want to play one of the clunkers. That's my knock against.
So I mean, because the thing is, like, you get rocked by Elves. You have the potential to just completely fold to a subset of Goblins draws.
Yeah, as I was going to say, Goblins is also a deck that could get you. If it depends, if you're the red sideboard, the sort of the Earthquake Pyroclasm experience is pretty good, but then you're not the blue sideboard.
Yeah.
Some maniacs are both,
and you might just push against Dreadnought, and it's not clear that you would. It's not clear that you would beat Replenish, regardless of what Rich says.
Andy wins using this deck against whatever deck is on the other side of the table. I was very surprised. He's just like, it doesn't.
He's just a Terrageddon native then.
Yeah, and he's just like doesn't even like Weather Wayfarer's guy. I'll just like never cast this. So he's like basically pseudo.
He's playing 56 cards. Yeah.
Like, sometimes he draws like I'm not deigning to tap a white mana for this card, but like he just ends up making it so his stupid expensive white sorcery resolves, and then all of your permanents go away, and they just go, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna recover faster because I have this Mox and this Sylvan Library and 32 more land in my deck.
Yeah. That's actually the strategy. What if we just took the Mox Diamonds out for more lands, right? So why don't we just play like just a bunch of lands in Armageddon instead of just forget Mox Diamond, right? I'll just Armageddon 4 of my lands and 3 of yours, and then just do it again and again because my deck is all lands. Yeah, I've got the City of Traders in there, so you can just City of Traders, Risk Grow, float, tap 2 mana, like you're Armageddon 2 lands.
Lanny, so here's my thought, right? Like, if I'm like gonna play mono blue, I'm like, maybe I'm a 7-2 or 6-2, whatever the number of the rounds is. And if I'm red, I'm also a 7-2 and a 6-2. I got to get a little lucky both ways. I'm gonna feel a lot better about one of those 6-2s than the other one. I'm gonna feel real bad if I 6-2 with Dreadnought, and I'm still like, man, I almost top 8'd last year. I still feel good when I think about it. I'm like, had to just get a little bit lucky one round. I played well all day. That was the thing. I played well all day. I liked my play.
Yeah, but you didn't have to like.
You didn't have to work so hard?
No, I mean, just playing, basically, right? Because playing well all day, comes at I'm not saying it requires no skill, but it just comes at less of a tax to yourself. And that's a tax that you can take strategically. But if you can squeak out another 2 to 3%, playing a deck with more agency optimally, then
the main difference is, let's not use the word agency. Let's say deck touching. So the thing that I would say is, I don't know how many games would have gone 2-0 had I been playing Dreadnought instead of Mono Red, but I played the maximum number of games last year. So if it was like 9 rounds,
I think you might have caught a few 2-0s playing Dreadnought. I'm just gonna tell you my experience from the tournament the next day. You would have won a lot of games, a lot of matches 2-0.
If I had caught some 2-0s, that implies I would have probably gone undefeated in the Swiss, right? Because against the wall in a lot of these matches. Like, oh, I got to win game 3. Like they just never get there, right? Like I'm up a game in the last round of the Swiss in the mirror match. Like this is my favorite match of all time. I get outdrawn 5 Fire Blasts to 0 in the last 2 games. Like I just like the number of non-losses would have just been so compressed earlier in the day. I might not even been playing that round, right? Like
yeah, exactly.
So that's the thing.
So I wanted to move the discussion to cards that are in decks that are really bad when you think about them, but they just make the deck work. And the 2 cards I'm thinking of specifically are
let me guess. Let me guess. Days.
Days.
I knew it.
Yeah, Days is the first one. The second one.
Wait, so cards that are bad in decks when you think about them, but they make the deck work. It's got to be Mox Diamond.
That's an interesting one. I think Mox Diamond is a little bit complicated because the deck doesn't exist without Mox Diamond, right? Like
that's like the definition. Yeah, I've seen you try to play grow an accumulated knowledge without Mox Diamond.
The days situation is much different, right? Because with days you can cut days from Grotog and you might look like you have a functioning deck. In fact, empirically you do. I've played 0 days in my Grotog deck. And it's been a functioning deck. But you have a completely non-functional Terrageddon or Grotog deck when you cut Mox Diamond. You can cut Mox Diamond from Oath Bonzo in 2 copies. That worked out. You can't cut them all just because you don't have enough red sources. Right? But you can cut 2.
Did you play like Wild Growth in your Oath Bonzo
I played Wild Growth in the Mox Diamond slot.
Wild Growth in the Smokestack version? That is a wild life decision.
I mean, you got to do something. Wild Growth. Okay, first of all, Mox Diamond is just horrible.
You will get caught.
Mox Diamond is just horrible in like the deck.
In Smokestack, okay.
Well, it's it's bad in Oath Ponza. Like if you could, like basically, there's a few things. Like one, if you're on the draw. That sucks, right? So if you're on the draw, you're like, oh man, I really wish I had
all matchups. If you're on the draw, that sucks.
Right. Because you're just like, you don't have no 1-drops in your deck, right? So that's like the problem that Mox Diamond is solving, is that it's like it's a 1-drop in a deck that has 0 1-drops. But as far as 2-drops are concerned, you have Seer Resistance, Oath of Druids, and Richard Import, and Sylvan Library.
Play them all on turn 1.
So that's like super exciting. But the other thing is like you're also a deck that like doesn't even have like the extra land to pitch to Mox Diamond, even though you run 28 of them, right? Because
you need
every single one. You're like, oh, what do I need to do this turn? I need to port them. I need to attack them with Treetop Village, and I have to cast Stone Rain. Oh yeah, and I have a Seer Resistance in play, so the Stone Rain costs 4.
I actually just need to pay this,
right? So you're sitting there, you're like looking at your Mox Diamond, right? And at some point, when you cast Seer Resistance, the Mox Diamond costs 1, and you have nothing to do if you draw extra Mox Diamond. So you have this card that is only good if it's in the top 8 cards of your deck, and then even then, like you probably just would have won the game anyways, because like, look, turn 1 Sphere of Resistance is super good. It closes the door on them being able to have, cast 1 spell, right? But and turn 1 Oath is good, right? You just like accelerate the clock a bunch. They're just like, oh, Birds of Paradise, and you're like, Oath the Druids, turn 1. Bet you didn't see that coming. And like, that you get that.
If they saw it coming, they wouldn't have played Bird of Paradise, I think.
Yeah, of course. But the deal is like, okay, so they're on the play. Their hand is force, Birds of Paradise, Duress, Cabal, Therapy, Survival of the Fittest. So they go force Birds of Paradise and then just go like Oath of Druids, and they just lose the game on the spot. Like they just can't do anything. So yes, that is going to happen. But I am quite confident that there is just a gigantic percentage of the games where you just have this, like, not only do you have your 1 material short, you're also like drawing Mox Diamond, where like literally an untapped land, would
way better.
Would be the way better. And I added like, so I changed multiple variables, right? I added Smokestack to the deck, and that's just like a different thing. And like, for granted, I didn't change Mox Diamond for untapped land. I changed it for Wild Growth. But I think the same can be done. Like Wild Growth, all Wild Growth is doing for me in the deck is just turning my 3-drops into 2-drops, right? So like, you already have whatever I just said, 16 outs to do something on turn 2, but like Wild Growth just means you go up to 24 outs to do something on turn 2. But if you just replaced 2 Mox Diamonds with Shivan Oasis or whatever the stupid filter land is,
Mossfire Valley.
Yeah, Mossfire Valley, or you just played something disgusting like Chromatic Sphere, which doesn't make any sense in the deck at all.
You had Chromatic Sphere and grow a accumulated knowledge. I guess that laces your accumulated knowledge is more tightly together at the same time.
I mean, who knows? I'm just saying I'm pretty confident that Oath Ponza is like a pretty functional deck. With 0 Mox Diamond, it's a functional deck with 1. It's a functional deck with 2. Obviously, it's functional with 4, and I think that the optimal number is certainly less than 4. But the card that I was actually going to say is Attunement, because I have nothing good to say about this card except for it has the type enchantment. And it looks at 3 cards. So I'm going to unpack.
If we were going to have the gears of Replenish, right? Attunement is a heck of a gear 1 card.
No, Frantic Search and Intuition. Okay, that's not even true. What do you mean?
It is. It's a gear 1. It's a good gear 1 card.
Mike, the nut draw is Blue Source, Ancient Tomb, Intuition, turn 3, Frantic Search, Replenish. None of that involves Attunement. And it doesn't work with Attunement unless you have everything in your hand already.
Terrible Gear 2 card. It's a straight up horrible Gear 2 card. Are we in agreement here? It is, if you were like going to list the 10 stacked spells in this deck or whatever, which is the worst Gear 2 card in Replenish, it's gotta be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not designed to stop anything that your opponents are doing, but it's also not designed to help you do what you're doing quickly. So it's only helping you do what you need to do eventually.
So you think that it's a Gear 3 card?
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's okay. Maybe I'll have to think about this.
Well, like we just called Gear 3. My conception is just Gear 3 is just slow Gear 1. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna kill you eventually. Like the way that I conceptualize it, because in the burn question, right? It's just like the thing that your deck does to me just doesn't matter. Your deck stockpiling, bunch of card draw, a bunch of counter spells, it just doesn't matter because eventually, like, burn spells are going to connect with the dome, and the one thing that you don't do for most decks, right, is increase your life total. Like, so if your land still deck or your blue counterspell deck randomly had Ivory Tower or it had Renewed Faith and Gaia's Blessing,
you got to do something different with your life, man.
Burns going to get you if you're just playing blue spells because your life total can only go down. Similarly with Replenish, if all you're doing is like activating Survival of the Fittest and getting like incrementally more, then Attunement's going to be great, right? Because I'm going to have like 5 turns of Attunement and then eventually I'm going to replenish you.
Is there a degree to which the gears is just vibes? Because I think about this, and if you're like, the thing that you love about that article is that line that I had, which is like, Gear 1 chooses you. That's just like a vibe, man. Like, oh man, Gear 1 chose me. I'm a flower child.
I'm not that romantic about it. I just think that like when you have a combo draw in your deck, like
sometimes it's there.
Yeah, like it just shows up, right? It doesn't it's not like you can make your deck give you an unbeatable draw, right? Like
you can by choosing that deck.
You can exactly. Yeah. So don't choose the rock, right?
Like I have Dreadnought, right? Sometimes I look at my opening 7, I look at my opponent, and I'm like, I'm on the play.
Yeah.
If they have triple interaction, I might lose. That's literally the conclusion you come to. Why would you pick a different deck? So
Replenish can do this too, of course. There's just like 30% of the time you just kind of win and your opponent does nothing. And actually that's what happened to me. So I played 6 matches of Replenish. I had 0 attunements and I would just like won a bunch of games. Like I played, some of the matches were just like super lopsided, right? I was like playing against White Weenie. I was playing against
it's like if you were playing against Elves, you could never lose that match.
But then like then I lost to like Black Red mid range and I was just like,
was he like all duress and Pyrobus after sideboarding? Did he like Haunting Echoes you? That's the only way that I've ever won with like a black mid range. Against Replenish, it's like you just slow him down and get him with the Haunting Echoes.
I gotta say this happens to me more often than I feel is possible. Because like in my first early days of playing Replenish, I would just like never lose to black decks. But like I have started losing to black decks. I lost to like black white control decks a couple times. I
That's
lost
not
to this. I lost to this Machine Head deck. And yeah,
Machine Head deck sounds like it might have some interesting tools that you weren't anticipating. But
I mean, it was like a Rack Lavaborn Muse situation.
Yeah, so he can race you. Disrupt.
Well, I just thought it was so funny because like they have the rack, right? And I'm just like, so like basically I recorded this leak and I was just like, the league thesis is quite simple. Don't play Attunement and Replenish. And then I like went and I lost the league. And then so like the most obvious criticism is just like, okay, well maybe Attunement is vital.
Maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, maybe I was wrong. And I'm just kind of like, I don't think Attunement would have helped against black red mid range, right? I don't think it would have helped against blue white control. That was one of my other losses. And then I don't think that it's necessarily helpful in the mirror because the mirror is just like tied you, then I win, or get tied in.
Weird, man. The mirror is so weird, right? Like if you like, what if you just get caught by mana leak in game one like that? It's weird.
Well, that's the good part, right? So you can so you have to do like, it depends on what each person is cooking, because basically both people are trying to tide each other. You can just play a tide to stop yourself from being tided.
I don't think I've ever played the mirror in a tournament.
I haven't played. I've played it like a couple times, and then if you have Seal of Cleansing, you can obviously stop your opponent's Seal of Cleansing, and your opponent's tied sometimes. So like your
Opalescence is so weird in the mirror.
Oh, you don't cast it unless you have.
No, it is. Yeah, you have to.
You can't give them the Opalescence.
No, that's it. It's like thinking about the implications. I'm like, this card is so weird. Like, it's like, you always say, 30% of the time you look at your Replenish hand and you win the game. I have never had one of those hands in my life, right? Like, I've said this to you all the time when we were testing. I was beating you with goblins. I was playing Jared's goblins and beating you on Replenish, and then you crushed him when the match came up in PSS. Like, my life as a Replenish player is just like, hey man, I'm going to cast one forecasting cost card a turn for 3 turns and hope you run out of interaction, and then something exciting is going to happen.
Okay.
I have never in my life done here's all my stuff.
I have an interesting comment about this, which is that I think that the casting cost plan is like very shaky, right? Because your opponent actually can be completely indifferent to all of them except for Parallax Tide. So like,
it depends on the matchup.
It depends on the matchup, but there's a lot of opponents.
Elves, they're just cooked, right?
Elves of course is like that, but basically some opponents know that they can just ignore Opalescence on the stack. They can ignore Parallax Wave on the stack. It's like people are obsessed with this idea that Goblin Piledriver isn't good because they're like, well, then I can just kill all the other goblins and then it's just a 1/2. Like, that's the same thing with Replenish, except for it's 4 mana to cast any of your things, right? So your opponent plays Seal of Cleansing, you're just like, I don't really care about this card. I don't have any artifacts and enchantments. I'm just going to worry about the tide. Or I'm going to wait till the tide is put on the stack, then I'm going to destroy the Seal of Cleansing and like whatever. Anyways, I played some Stifles in my list. I thought it was cute that you could go tide them and then Intuition for 3 Stifles and then stifle it. That play pattern in of itself never really came up.
That's a lot of deck building space.
3 Stifles. Yeah, 3 Stifles ended up. I mean, it did end up feeling like a ton, but I thought that it sort of unlocked a thing that the deck could do that was at least interesting.
Conditional Stone Rain is actually pretty exciting. I think that's where my head goes, but
it happened. It didn't matter. Like I had one game.
It's in the range.
Yeah, absolutely.
That could happen.
I stifle tided my Replenish opponent in game 1, and they just drew out of it. Like I just drew lands, and they drew 4 mana, and then they were like, okay, cast Replenish.
Is there a league this Thursday?
Next. Yeah, there is. It's this Thursday.
I think I'm going to play 23andMe.
I guess we should do announcements. Go over to Hex & Co. This Thursday. That is Thursday the 20... wait, what is this? Oh, this is Thursday the 20 whatever. This Thursday for Hex & Co.'s very first edition of the Pre-Modern League. We actually should make sure that people know about this because it's kind of a big deal. And also July 19th is the Sacred Torch Showdown. It is nearing the cap, so you should absolutely...
who's in charge? Phil?
Yeah, who do you think? Yeah, it's Phil.
I'm going to message Phil. Make sure I have a spot. I'll help. Where's Phil?
Yeah. But yeah, so that's Thursday the 24th for Hex & Co. And then July 19th for Sacred Torch Showdown. MTGNYC.com has all of the deets. And then obviously Lobstercon is out there. If you're trying to get a last minute ticket to Lobstercon, it does not hurt to drop a message in trading. I think people are still trying to get rid of their tickets, the people who weren't able to go. So that's all really exciting stuff. But yeah, anyways, so I played Replenish. I don't think playing Attunement would have made a difference, but I do think that like I have an interesting question, which is like, should we play Probe instead? Because like I never want to activate Attunement twice, but I still want to look at 3 cards.
Obviously, Probe is a higher quality card than Dream Cache, but you don't have black mana.
Okay, so we just play Probe and we play 1 or 2 Dromar's Cavern.
You are in mad scientist zone now, right? Mad scientists can be right. Don't get me wrong, man. Like, you cut up a bunch of cadavers, you glue them together, hit them with lightning. Maybe they eat some villagers, okay? Right? It might happen. But Dromar's Caverning in this deck? I guess with City of Traders, this is wild, man. I don't know.
You don't have to kick.
I don't know.
You don't have to kick your probe.
My head is exploding.
You don't have to kick your probe because, like, so my thesis is just like you don't want to attunement twice. Like, if you attunement twice against somebody and they haven't killed you, like, I feel like your deck can deliver the goods. That has turned out to be wrong. Like, I did flood out, and I'm like, okay, well, if I had attunement, I wouldn't have flooded out, right? But I don't want to like have 4 cards in my deck that are like for protecting me against flood when something can be as good. But what I did find was that. This never really like fully registered in my brain, but I was just like, Frantic Search just doesn't look at enough cards. Like, I just want to see, like, if
Frantic Search is a Gear 1 card.
I mean, that's absolutely right? So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, do I want to play Attunement just because Attunement looks at 3? Because like the main thing was like I had Impulse in the deck in the Attunement slot, and like Impulse was good. Like looking at 4 cards in a combo deck is like a very good thing.
Okay,
because there's only ever one you want.
What percentage of you is of Vorthos? Like 0%, 5%?
I mean, I read all the books until like Mirrodin.
I'm gonna give you the deck technology of a Hall of Famer, Pro Tour Hall of Famer, 2-time Pro Tour champion, and current commander, wizened old long hair, Brian Kibler, played Probe in his Psychotog deck that he top 8'd Grand Prix Milwaukee. He played 1 Probe in the sideboard, not because it was good, but because he could name his deck Deep Anal Probe. Because he played both Deep Analysis and a single copy of Probe.
Just a bunch of the most mature adults to ever play the game.
Just so he could name his deck Deep Anal Probe. This sounds like we're in Deep Anal Probe Mad Scientist land.
I mean, I had Deeps in my deck.
I know you did. I know you did, Lanny. I know you. And I know that this is going to niggle at you. You're just like, man, that Probe sounded like a good idea. Now it sounds like a great idea.
I am not affected by meme deck names of the preteen variety.
We were all in our mid-20s. But I had children already.
Yeah. Mid-20s, but it was like the early 2000s. So just like men as a demographic had just like not even experienced like what maturity could like what being accountable to like not being an ass could possibly mean. But
not being an ass, Deep Anal Probe.
I know that you have yet to reach this point, but regardless, I think Probe is at least interesting. I was initially just like, okay, just screw it, I'm going to play Catalog, but Catalog once again looks at 2 cards and not 3. So,
I mean, is there like what's Library of Latinam look at? And I think it's less mana.
It's 5 mana. No, it's just 5 mana, draw 3, and you can stifle the draw.
That's not good. Library of Latinam. What is the card I'm thinking of from Alliances?
You're not talking about Latinam's Legacy?
Maybe Latinam's Legacy.
Latinam's Legacy is shuffle a card into your deck, and it can be stifled. And so Latinum's legacy is shuffle one card from your hand into your deck, draw two at the beginning of the next upkeep. That upkeep draw can be stifled, and that's not good.
I mean, what? Because we're just widening the range of things that can interact with the card. Oh, I guess it's worse than a counterspell because you've given a card up. I see. Okay.
No. It's not a part of the cost, so it has to resolve for you to give up the card.
You've given a card up at this point, so when they stifle it, you're down extra.
Oh yeah. Stifle's a 2-for-1. Yeah.
This is a rare case where I've synthesized the information correctly.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that I synthesized the information.
It getting stifled is disgusting. Correct. So I think that Probe is probably closer to right. I think Impulse is probably still great. And
Nostalgic is just Impulse.
And I think that I shouldn't have made, I put the stifles in the deck because I wanted the deck to have outs to do things. But the problem is you're adding a card, so you're adding a card to do plan 2, right? And that means that the strength of plan 1 is much worse. So that's kind of more of a sideboard consideration. But basically, I was just like, okay, well, what if this deck could look at its hand and be like, this game I'm a Tide deck and this game I'm a Replenish deck. That didn't bore out. That's just not how the game's played. And then because it was just wasn't very good at Tide, making sure Tide resolved and making sure that it got paid, and then being able to win the game after you successfully tied to your opponent. It was sort of bad at all those things.
Lanny, what about Elves? Elves is the deck that is most like the deck that you're trying to get. The shape of your words, I'm like, he's trying to create Elves, but he doesn't know it yet.
No, I actually do. So that's my next one.
You do know that.
So anyways, Attunement is, Attunement, whatever. I still hate the card, but it's not clear that my Replenish decks are better than Replenish decks with Attunement. So
but think about Elves. Elves can even have Attunement. Right if after sideboarding, you're a mid-range Elves deck with Stampeding Wildebeests. You have the Attunement.
Yeah. So my thought with Elves is Mike, off the top of your head, how many mana sources are in the stock Elves deck?
Or do we count Kyrian Ranger and Symbiote?
No, Symbiote does something else. So yeah.
But does Kyrian Ranger count?
Yeah. Kyrian Ranger basically only makes mana. So
34,
something like that. We're talking 18 lands.
If you're Fran, it's even more because
he's playing 19th land. So we have 19 lands. We have 12 ones, and we have 4 2s.
4 priests.
Yeah.
So that's 16 plus 18. It's 34 plus if you have Birchler Ranger.
Yeah. So Elves is that, and then it has, how many draw cards does it have? It has a 2-card combo for drawing more cards and has Survival of the Fittest.
And then it has Multani's Acolyte.
Well, that's what I'm saying, the 2-card combo. So it just has Acolyte Symbiote.
Oh, I thought you meant Survival of the Fittest Squee was the 2-card combo.
Oh, yeah. So some people are just like, okay, I have a 30,000 mana source deck. Should I just play Hunting Pack? And the answer to that is Hunting Pack is awesome. So that's pretty cool. My thought is just let's just play Call the Herdmane. That's draw 2 cards. That helps hedge into your mana source.
I'm just saying, you could create an Elves deck with this identity, or you could create an Elves deck with this identity, and they could be the same deck.
That's absolutely true, right? So let's just play 2 Priest, right? And instead of playing 8 1-mana Elves, why don't we just splash in a few Birds of Paradise, 2? Ooh. And maybe
if you're not specifically reliant on Priest, everything is now on the table.
Right. But you can get the Priest, right? So you can get...
wait, it's even more, Lanny. I played 2 Wall of Roots in mine.
Sure.
And I mean, 2 more in my sideboard.
I think that Wall of Roots is excellent, and it's a consideration for my mid-rangey, or my Elves deck. But I'm just like, okay, what do we need to create disgusting combo turns? Gaia's Cradle is indifferent to the amount of elves you have, right? So let's just think about okay, I got turn 1 Elf Dork, turn 2 Survival, get a Priest, get a Squee, right?
This is there's that those memes that you have, and just are they a child? Are they an adult? Right? You're splitting, like, I had first turn elf, second turn survival. The question is like, are they goblins? Yes or no? Right? If goblins, you probably still lose. If not goblins, they probably lose.
Yeah. That kind of stuff. But yeah, so what can we cut? We don't have to play 4 priest, right?
Well, you don't have to play 2 deranged tournament.
If we have priest, we don't have to play 2 deranged tournament for sure. We could definitely play 1, right? So like we can slim down.
Some people don't play Kamal. You have to play a big hitter though, right? Like I like Kamal because it can generate so much mana, but some people play
Force Mage. It doesn't matter. They're both the same.
You have to play some. No, they're not the same. Kamal has a higher endpoint ceiling, which, as you know, that's the needle.
Your opponent only has 20 life, but
what if I did 1,000 damage though?
So we kind of like can be like, okay, like did we cut out the combo potential of our survival deck? We still have anger. We can still get the priest. We can still get a ranger.
You want to still play Tangle Miser?
Well, now that we're splashing, let's just play Armageddon.
Well, yeah. So that's a really interesting point. Well, then now you have Bird already. So you can't play red and white.
Yeah, Bird, Windswept Teeth.
And you have a mountain and a plains.
You have a mountain and a plains.
Well, so you got to have at least 19 land now.
20 lands, yeah.
So my deck has a main deck, Verdant Force, 2 Natural Orders, and two Wall of Roots.
Yeah, I don't know if the Natural Order thing is...
Yeah, it might not be right.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know how... it's an open-ended question. How relevant is Natural Order? It doesn't help you against Replenish. It doesn't... I
metagamed my deck against the red decks, and I was still losing to goblins.
Right. And it was just kind of like, okay, so that's pointless. So let's get rid of those. We could keep Wall of Roots, right? Because if we're going to have like 1 priest, but we still kind of want Wall of Roots... Like, I like an amount of Wall of Roots because most of the time the first survival thing that you get is Wall of Roots.
If you're gonna do I mean, if you have Wall of Roots in your deck, then that's the line you take, but not everybody has that. But if you're gonna go the direction you're going, Lanny, is still an elf, so you get some bonuses here. Rather than one of the priests, if you're just gonna go down a priest, why don't you just play 1 Raphelos? Raphelos is literally better than priest in every situation where you're not exploiting out elves. It's literally 5 mana on turn 3.
One Raphelos. 1 Raphelos, 1 priest, 1 Wall of Roots, and then we can still do disgusting things.
Like your life changes when you have Raphelos in your deck. It is fundamentally different than like you're 5 mana on turn 3 every time.
Yeah. Well, anyways, let's backtrack a little bit and just ask the question, why elves? And the most simple answer to that question is just like elves is super reasonable if your expectation is that you're not going to fight against the red decks, or that the red decks might be underprepared for you, or that you're going to be playing a bunch of nonsense in your deck like Armageddon and Call the Herd, that might just make it so you beat the red decks.
Here are my 5 decks that I said I would consider playing. I actually think I would consider playing Elves, but that's not what I said at the beginning. Elves versus red deck. What win percentage do you put yourself on?
If I'm Elves?
You're Elves, I'm the other deck, okay?
You're the red deck player?
I'm the red deck.
If you're the red deck player, then I would give myself 29%.
29. I thought you'd guess 30%. That's too high, but it's not good. Okay. I'm Replenish, you're Elves. What percentage you give yourself?
If you're on the Replenish, then I'm probably winning every time with Elves because of plot armor.
Because of plot armor?
But I also put Armageddon in my deck, so that's kind of
that changes the world, right? That's true.
I'll give myself do you have attunement in your
I only have 2 attunement.
You only have 2 attunement. I'll give myself 44% with Armageddon. I think you're
giving yourself very generous percentages in both of these, but we'll keep going.
It's 12. It's me. I'm me. Okay.
I'm 12-12 now. What percentage do you give yourself?
58.
You give yourself 58 knowing you're going to lose game 172% of the time? You're really relying
on I won the roll, so it's fine.
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. I am now Terrageddon. What do you give yourself?
100.
Like 82, right?
90.
100. 90. Pretty high, right? I'm Tide Control. What do you give yourself?
100.
100, right? So I figured you'd be like, Terrageddon Tide Control, basically 100. Burn and Replenish, basically 0. 12-12, basically coin flip. That's what I thought.
Let's not forget that I beat every other survival deck, too.
So I think Raphelos Elves with like semi-transformative sideboard might be sweet, right? Like, and I love just like, what if we go mid-range after sideboarding? Call the Herd, Wall of Blossoms, Stampeding Wildebeest. Stampeding Wildebeest, Wallabossum, Stampeding Wildebeest, Suktabi Orangutan, Stampeding Wildebeest, Mother Lovin' Yavimaya Granger.
Yes.
Is like all of that stuff is basically unbeatable.
Well,
Thornscape
Battle Mage.
And you have Plains and Mountain?
Yeah.
Shit, I wish
I have double kicked a Thornscape Battle Mage multiple times.
I am playing this on Thursday. Oh boy. Thornscape Battle Mage is one of my all-time favorite Magic the Gathering cards.
And it's exciting because basically you just like go survival of the fittest, and they're like, "That's fine, I'll disenchant survival of the fittest."
Tunkabu in your sideboard also.
So yeah, maybe like it's interesting because
it doesn't interact with Stampeding Wildebeest.
Does it kill anything that?
No, it's just fun.
It's kind of good if it doesn't kill an Exalted Angel, right? That's the only problem. So.
My Exalted Angel did not stop Spencer. Right now, right? Like 4 was way less than 1,000.
But the basic thing is just like there's a few ways that Elves loses. One is perish. Another is random flyers that are kind of quick.
Exalted Angel. I mean, SWB is playing first turn Exalted Angel.
The thing is, if you get disenchanted, right, then Exalted Angel is going to beat you, like because you have nothing else, right? Like what can you do?
Well, I'm not even like you have to build critical mass. The only way that you beat Exalted Angel is like
right.
I now need to take 6 game actions next turn.
So basically, the only answer from this point is that you have to put Gilded Drake in your sideboard.
No, you could just. This is where cards like Kamal, cards like Stampeding Wildebeest start to shine in this situation because you can't beat
an angel with a Wildebeest.
Sure, you can. What if you kept returning Spike Feeder?
Horrible. You gain 2 life. You don't gain.
You gain a little life. You get a little counteraction.
It costs you for 3 mana per turn tax.
All right, maybe you don't. First of all, who is the Exalted Angel deck? Replenish. You are not getting more mid range against Replenish. That is not the option here. But what if we? So I'm going mad scientist now. What if we have 3 Rafellos in our sideboard and like 4 some kind of combination of Plow Under and Stunted Growth?
So I think Plow Under was the card that I would look to see if it could be the thing.
Stunted Growth is really good.
That seems completely insane, but it also means you don't have to play Armageddon, right? You don't have to be white anymore because there's no more exciting white cards.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, this only functions in the Rafellos universe, right? But, like, Plow Under, insane, right? But I'm telling you, Stunted Growth is, like, unbeatable. If you land it on turn 3, who beats that? Okay. You're in a matchup that you wanted Rafellos Stunted Growth, right? I'm not saying you're siding Stunted Growth in against Sly, okay? But, like, I just landed Stunted Growth against Replenish. What is my likelihood of winning this game? It's got to be, like, 95%. They're going to draw the same 3 garbage cards for 3 turns while I accumulate some value.
Yeah, and then you'll Plow Under them. Yeah,
like they're just done, right? Like Plow Under's pretty good. Stunted Growth is triple Time Walk, Mind Twist, like in 1 card.
I buy it. I think it's a little bit.
You need to bend your universe to make it.
Well, no, it's fine. You don't have to bend it that much. As we established, the deck has 36 mana sources, right? So you have to have something to do with that mana. And like big dumb green spells is like a thing to do if your opponent isn't playing Pyroclasm, right? Like if your opponent isn't playing Pyroclasm Engineered Plague, then you should be playing big dumb green spells.
Now I remember why I don't like Elves.
And then if your opponent is playing those cards, then you have to kind of do something else, right? The other thing is like you kind of need 6 naturalized effects for the Engineered Plague Oath of Druids world.
You have I was gonna say Thornscape Battle Mage, but he doesn't function in this situation.
Yeah.
You can't it has to be Vig.
Or Monk Realist if you're in the White Splash.
Come on, man. That's like this is now a Jaw got 1 gun violation and 12 assists parlay. Right?
Emerald Charm.
Emerald Charm is gas, right? That's actually very good with Priest of Titania or Rafellos. And it destroys Oath of Druids, and it annoys... Oh, man, I guess... What if you drag down Exalted Angel with that? Tear it down.
Silk Lash Spider. Blocks Mystic Enforcer.
Speaking of Mystic Enforcer, Roland played grow a Mystic Enforcer at the meetup this week, and then he inexplicably didn't win round 3. Like, he was very far ahead.
Yeah, he messaged me and he said,
he took a fancy line. I was watching.
He's really channeling me then.
So he takes this super fancy line, right? So basically what happens is he has a Mystic Enforcer. He's lining it all up. He actually plays this one section really beautifully where he puts an opt 3 down so that he can skip the card, gets to the next opt, and then skip the card to go deeper in his deck.
Yeah, that's how you do it. Yeah,
it's really beautifully done. But then he's just like, he's winning, so I'm going to win the game, right? Then his opponent Gilded Drakes his Mystic Enforcer, right? And then he's like, oh shoot! So he plays his other Mystic Enforcer. So there's Enforcer against an Enforcer and a Psychotog, and I don't think Roland can lose, right? But then he's been working a 5-draw Sylvan Library for like 6 turns and it just hasn't won the game. And he's cast a Gush. He cast this multiple Opt Lace that he did, but he just hasn't closed out the game, right? And then, his opponent just sends Psychotog. He like chumps it or whatever, and then just post-combat uses a Tormod's Crypt. Then he gets a Plowshares and then doesn't take the Plowshares. He takes I think the second Mystic Enforcer or something instead. Doesn't pay life, right? It doesn't take the Plowshares. His opponent just bounces his flyer or like Gilded Drakes. I don't remember how it happened, but then he just kills him in the air, right? And I'm like, if you had just not used the Tormod's Crypt, you can't lose. And it's like, why? It's just like, because if he makes that play, you just take the flying away from the Mystic Enforcer and you can jump block it in combat. But he had done this and then the opponent just reaccumulated Threshold, right? That's hard to do in combat.
This is a wild game you're describing.
No, he's just playing with his food. Right?
Yeah, there's Gilded Drakes and Psychotogs and Mystic Enforcers.
He's resolved 2 Armageddons this game. Can you imagine this? You resolve 2 Armageddons this game. You have a 5 Sylvan Library going for 6 turns, and you successfully cast 2 Mystic Enforcers, and then you don't win the game.
We just count these as a W. We're just we won that one. Yeah.
So he didn't lose the match, but he got a time limit draw as a result of this, right? So he didn't win the meetup.
Yeah. Well, but he said he would have been. Yeah.
Well, no. He was playing for the draw. That was, what I'm saying. He's like, oh, time's running out. We're in turns. He just didn't see the line, I guess. But I'm just saying GAME might have won. But the winner was Mono Black Clerics in the hands of Jeff Ferris.
Congrats!
That's pretty exciting. Yep. Pretty exciting. You can't really count my standing. I showed up late, and I only showed up to give Luis his Donato cards. I couldn't come because of work, so I was penalized wins before I got in. So,
what did you play though?
I just played red.
Oh, okay. And how did the games that you did end up playing? How did they go?
I won 1 match. I lost to Stasis, and I won 1 match.
You lost to Stasis?
Yeah. I won game 1, and he had turn 2. I probably turn 2 protected chill in both game 2 and 3, and then it was game 3 especially was one of these games where I literally didn't play a third land for a million turns.
Because you're still playing baubles.
No, I just didn't draw anything. I just I am still playing baubles, but that's actually pretty good. It can help you get under Black Vice. But I he was at.
You know what else helps you get under Black Vice is basic
just lands. Yeah, just having lands in your deck.
Yeah.
But he just goes turn 2. Game 3, he drew a chill and 2 hydros, and I was stuck on 2. That was pretty hard to navigate. So that obviously, he can just. He has so much free spell action by the time I was doing anything. So, yeah, obviously, Stasis is a matchup that Burn likes to play against,
yeah, you can get chilled. What are you gonna do? You open up your hand. There's no blast. You have to keep, but it doesn't feel
win
good.
Most of the natural games, right? It's just sideboard spoilers that mess you up, but Chill can mess you up real bad, right? So, also you might even have the blast, but maybe you tapped out for a Ball Lightning or something, or you get your 6 in, and it is a small consolation when they go chill into Stasis.
God, I hope you didn't tap out for Ball Lightning.
I would
never play Ball Lightning post-board.
They didn't have Ball Lightning in my deck.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, You could get caught with a hydroblast.
Yeah.
Or a pyroblast. And that is a thing that could happen.
Understandable. All right. So
I did have Sulfuric Vortex in my deck because I thought he might have Ivory Tower.
I mean, Sulfuric Vortex is just good, right? Because if you land it down, that's just a problem for them. They can't just like sit back at that point.
Yeah, but I'd never do a third land.
Right. So where we're at Replenish, Parfait Terrageddon, Elves with Rafelvzos.
I love Elves. Oh man, but I wanted to play 23. I guess I'm playing Elves.
Elves is I am the highest on Elves than I've ever been, despite the fact that we just named a bunch of decks that it doesn't look like Elves would beat.
Yeah, but if you name the top 5 decks, it's like 100% against Terrageddon, 100% against Tide Control, 50% against 12/12, 0% against Burn, 0% against Replenish, right? Like that is the definition of like a pretty good deck.
That is the definition of a deck that would that either goes 2-4 or
wins
9-0, right? Yeah. And you know what? 50% against Oath Ponza. Because basically the way it works is just I played this matchup from the Oath Ponza side. I'm like, I triggered Oath of Druids and I won, or I didn't trigger Oath of Druids and I lost.
Interesting.
Sometimes you cast Pyroclasm.
You could also trigger Oath of Druids and not win.
No, you cannot.
Dude, sometimes your stupid Terravore is like a 2/2.
I board out a few so that they're always gigantic. Yeah. You can board out one. I think I might not have boarded them out, but like the thing is like you'll trigger Oath of Druids, but you also you have Pyroclasm. It's like there's 2 versus recurring Pyroclasm.
I am aware of how this matchup is supposed to go. I have played it from the Oath side, and it has never been pretty for the Elves deck.
Yeah, well, if you have a bunch of Sphere Resistance, that's also good for you. But if the Elves player, like, because the other thing is that the Oath deck is not a big deck toucher deck, right? So if the Elves deck just goes like, naturalize your Oath, kill you, then there's nothing you can do about that. Like, they can beat 1 Sphere Resistance.
I was playing Elves at a meetup against Cam once, and I had the card Wood Ripper in my sideboard. And I natural order, and I have a 4 in Wood Ripper, right? Obviously, like a sign.
So you started blowing up enchantments with your Wood Ripper because you're a cheater.
Yeah. So you know this story.
You're a filthy, horrible cheating.
And then Cam pointed out that I can't do that, and then I did it again the next match. And he's just like, "I told you last match, you can't do that." Right? I'm like, I forgot already.
Yeah, you're like, why did I put this in my deck? Why did I put this in my deck?
I was like, why is this in my deck? And I'm like, read the effing card, except for I can't read the card because it's not in English.
I mean, you can't read any pre-modern cards anyways. They've all been errated, but...
No, but do you see what I'm saying? Like, if Wood Ripper could destroy enchantments, it might be pretty good, right?
Yeah, it would be good if it could destroy enchantments. Absolutely, yeah.
But it can't. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's...
So, like... But
let's talk about Thornscape Battle Mage if it could destroy enchantments.
The hilarious thing about the story is I literally forgot that I couldn't destroy enchantments 1 round later.
Yeah.
But I was just like, all right, destroy your Enchantress's Presence or whatever.
I mean, you might just be getting old. It happens, right?
I mean, like, I wasn't cheating at a freaking brewery meetup. I just forgot.
So where I'm at is the following. I think that playing Elves is at least interesting, but it's so hard to like tune a deck like that. And then also Elves has a lot of really unplayable draws. Like just a lot of like...
Oh, no. The trick is to keep all those draws and hope they improve.
Yeah. You're like sitting there like, well, like...
You can't mulligan functional hands in a deck that is like 33% 1 mana 1/1s.
Yeah.
What do you think your next hand is going to look like?
It's just more of the same, right?
You're like you just have to hope.
So I would want to build it to kind of like rebalance it such that you have more things to do with your mana that are like interesting and playable rather than just like putting more mana on the battlefield. I mean, obviously this is how we got to Hunting Pack Biorhythm because people were just like, well, like I'm going to do one big thing and it better be good. Then it should be something like Hunting Pack. And I think if I were to just do it, I think that Hunting Pack honestly might be it. Like, is that crazy? I think Hunting Pack is like pretty much the answer, because the problem is you make too much mana. So
I'm going to describe something. You just tell me if this is an accurate description. Okay. If you have some amount of mana acceleration and survival of the fittest, unless your opponent is goblins, your expectation is that you're going to win by survival of the fittest assembling something cool, and that you have more mana than your opponent, so you're going to take multiple game actions. It's going to be great, right?
Yeah, and
that's your.
And the thing that you just reminded me is that the importance of elves ahead of something like black-green survival, or maybe a survival meddling mage deck that's really good, is that the distance between victory and putting survival fittest on the battlefield is the shortest with elves, excepting maybe HFEB, but for the most part, elves is going to kill you the fastest after it's resolved survival of fittest, because it just doesn't have to dirtle.
All right, so but hunting pack wins the subset of games where you have plentiful mana but not survival of the fittest.
Yes, and it is the kind of thing of just kind of like, you go survival, right? And they like, okay, they go like disenchant survival. Then you just go like, okay, get symbiote priest. And then the next turn you go symbiote priest, hunting pack. Plus you can cast it on their turn, right? So if your opponent is just like...
ability to cast it on their turn and get, I'm presuming, a single beast.
No, you don't think they're going to... You think they're going to cast nothing against you?
I think I think life could be so interesting. Yesterday in one of the 23andMe matches, Matchlegs was playing against a Reanimator deck. The game was going long, and it was a sideboard game, and his opponent cast a Dark Ritual. Matchlegs looks at his hand. He goes, in response, Abeyance. And I was just like, oh, I'm so proud of you. Like, it made me so happy. That's what I think. I think that hunting pack is the green elves Abeyance in that situation. Your opponent casts spells and you punish them for casting spells.
I mean, it's pretty good though. Like,
Abeyance in response to Dark Ritual is among the coolest things.
If you're going to, because here's the problem, right? Like, my first thought was like, okay, well, you've already got Deranged Hermit, right? So why don't you just like play 4 Deranged Hermits in your Elves deck, right? Because if you don't draw survival, you're just draw Deranged Hermit.
That's pretty good.
Deranged Hermit is pretty good, right? But most of the time that you can cast Deranged Hermit, you can probably cast Hunting Pack, and that's also really good. And like, I mean, and it's like Deranged Hermit at instant speed.
Ish. I mean, first of all, it is more expensive, and then B, like, something has to be going on for you to get more power than a Deranged Hermit.
Both of them,
something needs to be going on.
Both of them are as reliant on Wirewood Symbiote being a part of the picture. But you can randomly do it with like a couple Korean Rangers.
Are you just going to play 4 Hunting Pack in your Elves deck now? I
mean, that's what the Hunting Pack Elves is. It's just 4 Hunting Pack in the Elves deck. And I've seen the tape, and it looks pretty impressive. Like,
well,
I think it was like
and do all the stupid stuff that we were talking about. This is like,
I mean,
you only pick so
hold
many
up. But think about it. So Korean Ranger and Raphaelos aren't like best friends, but they'll still be at the same dinner party. Yeah, they're acquaintances. It's not like they have nothing to talk about, right? Like, so you just kind of like still have your Raphaelos deck, but you can still make 7 mana on your opponent's turn, like with Raphaelos.
Especially what if they wrathed.
That's what I'm saying.
That's pretty good.
I mean, it's just like, what if they anything, right? Like, what if they're just like, okay, what if they're a survival deck?
Hey, what if you just played Beast Attack instead of Hunting Pack? Like, that's so much more reasonable to cast.
Oh man, I'm conflicted. Hunting Pack is
why?
Hunting Pack is
awesome. Okay,
you will. Like,
Beast Attack,
you can get 4 beasts. You can get 4 beasts from one Hunting Pack.
I understand that. I was like, the hoops required to get 4 beasts with a Hunting Pack is much higher than the hoops required to get 1.
What, you have a Priest of Titania, you have a Gaia's Cradle. Is that really that hard?
People need to put the wiffle ball on the little tee for you. Like, here's the wiffle ball, Lanny. It's not going to come in.
Mike, somebody's going to cast a spell, okay? It might be you and it might be them, but somebody's going to cast a spell. right? Like that's all I'm saying. Somebody's gonna cast a spell, and then you can cast a spell. Like your hunting pack deck could contain the Emerald Charm, right? It could contain a crop rotation, and then all of a sudden, like that's big game. That's a beast. Both of those cards are a beast, right? And like both those cards are good. Period. Like in the context of elves. So I don't know. Hunting pack elves. I think elves is super interesting. I mean, like I don't know. You like any deck that doesn't kill your elves but can kill your survival. It's like because most decks that kill your survival aren't good at handling elves, right? There's not a lot of disenchant engineered plagues decks and not a lot of disenchant pyroclasm decks. Like the only disenchant engineered plague deck would be black green survival, right?
What about like a dismantling blow Wrath of God deck or a dismantling?
You will get gotten by the hunting pack, right? Because you just only have 1-for-1 counter spells.
What if it is a dismantling blow Wrath of God Akroma's Vengeance deck? They're cycling the Akroma's Vengeance.
Yeah, I was gonna
don't worry about that aspect.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm just saying it's part of the.
I feel like I might have plowed under at this point.
Oh, they would just that would just have to resolve probably because they played a first turn Coastal Tower.
Yeah.
You played like a Replenish. I'm sorry, Aeropolis, and then they were like, oh, second turn Sungrass Prairie.
Yeah. Let's go.
And then you're like, plow under.
Yeah.
And they're like, make green white.
Yeah.
Cycle renewed fate.
Yeah.
So I got one back. I got one back.
Yeah.
But it's going to be Coastal Tower, Sungrass Prairie again. This is deterministic.
Oh, there are a lot of lands I want to plow under. I want to plow under treetop villages. I want to plow under coastal towers.
Coastal Tower, Sungrass Prairie has got to be pretty high on the list of things that you want to plow under. Although 23andMe defeated Best Attack last night in the Wisconsin stream. That was exciting. There was a Meddling Mage on Swords of Plowshares and a Meddling Mage on Wrath of God. So 23andMe had to navigate a difficult game where it couldn't remove his opponent's creatures and just won that game by instead casting the same Fact or Fictions like 4,000 times. Eventually winning with the play Gaia's Blessing, Dismantling Blow. That one drew the concession.
To what end, right? So if you can't remove the creatures, like you actually are just doing nothing?
No, so what happened was Matchlegs got like a bunch of angels in play, right? Like 4 angels, and it was attacking with angels and put the opponent to like negative life total, but they had worship in play, right? So to try to trick seed.
Okay.
So
well, not negative life total, just 1.
Yeah, 1 or whatever.
Once you get the dismantling blow.
Because I think it is a reasonable guess that your opponent would cut dismantling blow in a matchup where the only
target is Sabo's Web. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but Matchlegs is so addicted to dismantling blow his own Sabo's Web that he still had it in the deck.
Just kept it in
to defeat worship.
I guess we'll have to add Sterling Groves to Best Attack.
That was super exciting. That was the concession getter. Because that's a good question. To what end? But I think he could have eventually won just by like Gaia's Blessing infinity times, right? Like that's a thing you could do.
Yeah, I mean the Best Attack deck is working towards its own Decree of Justice. Obviously he has to cycle it instead, but they would just have to go for their own decree and then be able to have it be large enough to win, right?
But it was that's exciting, and it's exciting to me that they do their Wisconsin stream every week, and 50% of the matches are just 23andMe because it is the most fun deck to play and watch.
Yeah, it's just the Mike Flores glazing stream.
What is glazing? I'm sorry, I don't know this word.
It's a Zoomer thing. You have to look it up, but it's the newest.
So, but when you say I have to look it up, like if I look it up on Google, Google's not hip enough to know what glazing is. Like I have to look.
I think it will.
On some third.
Well, no, there's AI now. No. Well, Google will give you the AI answer, and then.
All right, I'm gonna look this up. Glazing.
This is good content.
The action of installing Windows.
Yeah, Sam the Glazier. So famous. I drive by that.
But the Google trend for glazing is skyrocketed.
Yeah.
So
You're about to hop on the train, yeah.
I don't know.
This is like when we taught you about Fuck It, We Ball, and it became your favorite thing in the world.
Overlay or cover with a smooth, shiny coating. Lose brightness in animation. None of these things seem to.
Glazing is just roughly equivalent to like barning someone, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But like with compliments and like flattery and
like in that same stream,
it's like gassing somebody up.
It was claimed that Patrick Chapin played Keldon something in his mono red deck from. They didn't know what Pro Tour it was. The answer is Pro Tour Dallas. Of course, I knew. They're like, he had this card in his deck, and I said, no, he didn't. And they said, yes, he did. And then I pulled up the article about it, and then I posted the deck list, and they're like, wow, that was fast. And I'm like, I was there.
I was there when it happened.
And I wrote the article.
I was in the room where it happened. Yeah.
He did not have Keldon whatever. I don't remember what Keldon card they claimed it was, but I knew it was in his deck. His 4-drop was Dragon Whelp, a card that is currently available to play in Standard. No one plays it. 2/3 for 4 kills itself. Not an exciting card to play in Contemporary Magic.
I'm excited about it in pre-modern.
Dragon Whelp?
Yeah.
I think that's better than Fledgling Dragon?
Oh, no. I mean Fledgling Dragon, sorry.
Yeah, Fledgling Dragon I've always been excited about, but Dragon Whelp, you gotta really love it to be
Yeah. No, I agree. So the other thing that happened was the Easter Champs was today.
Oh, I did not know that. Did Aaron Dix fly in and win?
No, Aaron Dix has been grounded due to stuff, but
due to an acute deficiency of wife points.
No, that's not it. Actual points, but Easter Champs is connected with NoobCon, so I think Mano and Flint are in Sweden for NoobCon, and then Easter Champs is the pre-modern. It's just Easter Champs and NoobCon are Lobstercon, yeah, of Sweden. So I believe that it was won by Replenish defeating Goblins in the final, and the top 8 is just the metagame. It's Oath Panza, Dreadnought, Red Green Goblins, Elves, Replenish, and Stasis Frantic Storm and 5C Devourer.
And 23andMe was in 9.
Yeah, of course.
Also, I just want to point out that Mashlegs has removed one of the copies of Sabo's Web from the main deck.
Yeah, so it's 22.
It's now 22andMe. So I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this. And also that weakens the Dismantling Blow.
The Dismantling Blow engine, yeah. It's like cutting a scroll rack from your...
So I don't know about this, right? Like this seems very... I don't know about this. It's now 22andMe.
Anyways, my commentary is that Replenish won another tournament in Europe. Who knows? It might win a tournament in North America soon.
Yeah, like I think Replenish again. For me, it's Replenish or Burn.
Just with two copies of Attunement.
Yeah, just like the deck I played, 2 copies of Attunement, add a 25th land, probably is.
What do I have to do to make you cut Urza's Bauble from Burn?
I don't know. Get me to practice Burn. Like I just literally played it for kicks.
But you don't have to.
I knew I wasn't going to do well.
But if you're going to do it from
the first round,
if you're going to do it for kicks, then just go pull some more Barbarian Rings.
This was my thought process. There's a lot of decks I want to play, but I want to give all those decks fair play, right? Like, even if I wanted to play like Artie Reanimator, Cephalid, or whatever, right? Like that's a deck I want to play, but I don't want to like come in knowing I'm going to lose at least one round, right? I'm not even leaving until the first round is over from my house. So I didn't want to like play a deck I actually wanted to win with. So I just like literally took a deck out of the box that I wouldn't hate.
Yeah. I'm just saying you should like, the next time you've got a few free minutes, just like remove the Urza's Baubles, put in the remaining
Sulfuric Vortex.
Yeah, put in the remaining Barbarian Rings and Sulfuric Vortex, and then just continue living your life.
I mean, when you'd explain to me that Barbarian Ring is just like the world's best whatever filter land I played in that other deck, I'm like
Horizon Land, yeah.
It's just like literally like 1 mana cheaper do the same effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Dreadnought, when you take out this we kind of rushed through this, but yeah, so if you just like take Dreadnought and then you filter out the red decks from the sample, Dreadnought becomes a 45% deck, 46.2% deck.
It's just the same, man. They're the same.
Replenish, of course, holds its edge. In fact, it gains edge, right? If Replenish never has to play against red, it's pretty happy. Dreadnought has to play against red to be happy.
Maybe that implies, because they always, like, at a macro, they had the same win rate, right? Like, they were like 58.
Yeah.
Maybe Replenish is just better.
Actually, at a medium-sized macro, like even if you have red decks in the sample, Replenish is at 56 and Dreadnought is at 53. I think that, like, it is worth noting that Mono Blue Dreadnought was not an impressive deck before Lobstercon in any form that wasn't the Lobstercon list, and like still remains that way, right? Because like the other Dreadnought decks in the top 8 were stock blue-white and blue-black, right? It's not like there were a lot of people playing Mono Blue Dreadnought at Lobstercon both years running, and none of them have succeeded both years running.
The defining aspect of the deck, if you really want to think about it, like the current version I own is Hootenanny Blue, in part because I own 5 Parallax Tides, but 4 of them are in the Replenish deck, so that's why I have the Hootenanny Blue version plausibly built. But the real defining characteristic of the deck that won both days of Lobstercon last year and kind of put the Mono Blue deck on the map is Chain of Vapor Parallax Tide transformation. Right?
Yeah.
Like the other versions are like, we praise Raska for being a moving target. It is cool that he has accumulated knowledge, but that's not.
Yeah, it's like quite evident that the 75 from Lobstercon
this is a cover band, right?
Yeah,
this isn't, you know, like oh my gosh, is that the Beatles? No,
it's
a
the
bunch
Weedles.
of them are dead.
Yeah, and so I would say that, like, okay, like what if we just controlled for Tide? We would probably see some stronger numbers because it's so powerful. And then also, once again, go pay the $10 to charity and like learn how to actually play the deck. Like, you don't know how to play the deck. Like, I'm tired of saying it. You don't know how to play the deck. Go spend $10, goes to a charity, and then you'll learn how to play the deck, and then you'll just be excellent. So I think that that's a large enough effect, right? Because the thing is, the Mono Blue sample is huge. It's huge by most numbers, right?
I see what you're saying.
It's 400 matches,
People are
or if you
headed
go
to
total.
the Bahamas, but they're ending up in the North Pole.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's just like so many little things that he did. Like it's all in the guide, but like, you know, I'll tease a little bit of that. The mill them thing on Replenish is just massive. We tested this. We confirmed this independently.
Yeah, but people don't know that intuitively.
Yeah, just don't cast anything against Replenish besides vision charms and counter spells and cantrips.
Like if you're going first and you just have the combo, you can go for it.
You can, but if and only if you have the combo and it's like super rolled up, right? Like you could even just get Parallax Tided and it just doesn't matter, right? So like
it kind of matters. If they Parallax Tide you, they can just go for their combo.
But then you foil, right? So you have 2 outs to that. One is having 7 lands in play, and 2 is Gush Foil. But that's like one teaser. If you do this one weird trick, like you're just gonna win a lot more against Replenish. Similarly, you'll win a lot more against Stasis and Enchantress, and you'll win the mirror more often if you follow the steps in the guide. It's just like a step-by-step process. Just like, here's what you do. You're not gonna win every match, but you're gonna win a lot more matches than you were before this, and that's enough, I would say, to like give you an extra 5% expectation across the board. And 5% is a ton. It's worth $10 to charity. So that's my rant. I've obviously ranted about this at length, but I think it's like important because I think that there are people who think that they're smarter than David, and they're wrong. Like I have seen people play Dreadnought lists that aren't David's lists, and I have seen them not win every single match. And I think that that's a result of that. And sometimes it's not. Like, you know, I played a deck with a bunch of Survival of the Fittest and Meddling Mage recently against one David Kaplan, and I don't think Kaplan on any Dreadnought list was ever going to defeat me because, of course, a Survival of the Fittest Wall of Roots Birds of Paradise deck does not get tided. Like you would need like a lot of Curse Totem in order to beat that deck, and of course I can put multiple Meddling Mages into play, etc., etc., etc. But there's holes like there's not really a clear fix to the black-green survival matchup. There's not a great fix to the Terrageddon matchup unless you give up your points elsewhere. So, it's not perfect, but you're going to do better. Don't underestimate how many hours has gone into the Bible versus how many hours that you have spent on the thing, because it's just kind of like that's like kind of thing. But because this exists and everybody who has $10 has access to it, it also means that the Replenish player can adjust, right? So like when I play the Replenish side against Dreadnought now, I also know that's what's happening. And I actually did put you in spots where I was exchanging Parallax Tide for Counterspell, which is like really, really good for the Replenish player. So definitely something that it's going to be interesting to see it play out. I do think that if 8 people show up with the exact 75 from last year and the Bible, I think that one of those 8 people will top it.
Yeah, but like, what if one of those 8 people is just Brian Selden?
It's not going to be, probably, because I think Brian is happy to have done it twice.
He's not playing?
No, he's going to play. But I think he's going to bring something that's not Dreadnought.
Is this like Survival Glow Rider or something? Like how big of a handicap can I put on my...
I might have given him my survival deck and just been like, just take a look. Might have given that to him. He doesn't seem too interested, but I think he could be convinced.
Look, man, Flintstigator did it with Fluctuator on his
He didn't win. He didn't win, though.
He was pretty drunk by the time. Like, he first of all, he made the top 4.
And then he beat Landstill.
And he was talking really loud about cards in people's hand in the finals, man. I mean, that's the vibe of Lobstercon.
He denies that this ever happened. It is worth saying.
I was there, standing next to him.
Yeah, but how many Lobstercons have you won?
None.
Yeah.
I've won 0. How many have you won?
I've won 0. So I guess whatever Flint says is probably true.
My mean Lobstercon is like not mean, I guess. I have a 3rd and then a 2nd in the consolation, and you have a 3rd and a 1st in the consolation.
Oh yeah. And both of my tournaments were larger, huh?
Mabes. I don't know. I didn't count them by hand. That
Fair.
Also says it's probably more fish. Like, actually, is the size of the tournament indicative of more fish or more difficulty?
It's more difficulty because despite the fact
with your narrative,
because you play an additional round,
yeah.
Right? And that's like the only difference. Like the fish ratio stays the same, or it could go higher, but you just play another round.
No. More fish is actually horrible if you're me, right? I was in the 0-1 bracket last year, and my opponent had Silver Knight, Worship, Sphere of Law.
Yeah.
I still got one of the games.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think where I'm at is probably just play Dreadnought because despite like the possibility, the probability that I'll run against somebody who doesn't want to lose to the matchup, it is still just super rock solid, and like Replenish is great, but it has this like,
it's a clunker.
Yeah, it has this like yucky, like,
it's a clunker. You could just say it's a clunker.
It's a clunker. Replenish, clunker. Terrageddon, clunker. Elves, clunker. Elves has some nasty.
Elves is not a clunker.
Elves is a clunker.
Elves is in need of a tune-up, but it is not a clunker.
Red Green Oath Ponza, clunker.
Garb.
Survival Rock, somewhere in between.
It's not a clunker, but that's not the deck that wins Lobstercon.
It's, I mean, who knows? Grotog.
Garb. What about Game instead of Grotog?
Game, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Game.
Yeah. I think that deck's surprisingly not bad.
So the only question, so the only decks that I can play
Burn.
are Tide Control, Grow Mystic Enforcer, and Dreadnought. All decks that run maximum number of look at cards in your deck.
Yeah, but those are all okay. With the exception of Grow Mystic Enforcer, those all 3, with the exception of that deck, are excellent decks.
Goblins.
Garb. That deck is a clunker.
Goblins is a little bit of a clunker.
It has like one of its modes is cast a 5 casting cost card every turn. Like that is the definition of a clunker.
Well, there's the first mode is win. The second mode is win slightly slower, and then the third mode.
But that is actively one of its modes. Cast 1 advantageous card per turn. Cross your fingers. Don't miss your land drop in your beatdown deck.
Agree. Well, it's not a beatdown deck. It is like a mid-range deck that has a lot of offense.
It's like a beatdown deck when you're going first and you have a goblin lackey.
I mean, then it's a combo deck. Yeah, then it's just reanimator.
Right, never mind.
Like the main thing is like being able to go like matron ringleader, which is like really hard for a deck that's 1-for-1ing you to beat, but not hard for a deck that is just like fire blast you to beat.
It's also not hard for a real combo deck.
That is also true. Or a deck that just has, I mean, I guess that line I just described does beat Pyroclasm, but it doesn't beat Pyroclasm Oath of Druids.
Depends on how they deploy, right? Like, depends what they're getting with Matron Deploys, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it is hard to not get crushed by Pyroclasm, but you can do it if your hand also contains 4 more goblins.
The thing I love about Pyroclasm is like it's so little mana and it undoes the Black Lotus aspect of the Goblins deck.
Oh yeah.
Like that's just the beauty.
The thing I don't like about
it beats Black Lotus.
The thing I don't like about Pyroclasm is making any of my decks be able to produce red mana on turn 2 or 3.
We're going with I guess
2 on the draw.
No, you can let them get you a little bit.
3 on the draw.
Just let them get you a little bit.
You might die. If there's a war chief in the play, you will die, right?
Give them a little candy. So give them a little bit of candy.
If your opponent just has Goblin War Chief in play, you might have to cast that Pyroclasm right now.
I mean, they might. Look, what if they just have 3 pile drivers in their hand?
Yeah. You're like, I'm glad they didn't 1-for-1 me with. Yeah, I'm glad they got greedy with Pyroclasm. All right, goblins out.
You're not playing goblins. That's just not.
Goblins it's so enticing.
You have so much pride in yourself to play a 45% deck.
You're right, but it's just like one of those things that like when I play it, I do win.
Yeah, but you're gonna say that about every deck.
No, I don't win with Replenish. I don't really win with Dreadnought.
First of all, you won the PSS with Replenish, and you top-8'd the first Sacred Torch with Replenish.
The rule is to go with the most recent data, right? So
that's the rule. That's literally they have a word for that.
Yeah. I know. I've heard of it, and I'm familiar with the concept.
It is not it's not good, right? It's not like the word isn't excellent.
Look,
the word isn't accurate.
It worked for me.
The word starts with bias.
It worked for me in 2023. I didn't have enough time in 2024. 2025, I've sort of had enough time, but I haven't established anything. But yeah, I mean, if I play Replenish in the league and I go 3-3 because I flooded out multiple times, or like I couldn't beat a blue-white control deck, then I'm just going to be like, I don't have time to make this work.
N equals 6. Like, I don't know. Like, I literally.
No, but the three wins weren't good wins. Like they weren't like, oh, whatever. I just played against decks that will never beat me in 1,000 years because they're just not round 10. They're not round 8 decks, right? If I went 3-3 against round 8 decks, then that would be different. But they're not all round 8 decks.
Cutter is?
What's that?
Corey Steel Cutter. It's a card from the new set.
Oh yeah. That's
okay.
This card is disgusting.
Yeah. So I played my first games with this Corey Steel Cutter deck this morning. I went like 2-5, all right, in the first. You can't go 2-5, right? So it went like 2-3 or whatever. But one of the reasons I lost was because like I triggered it during combat by accident and then moved it off of the guy, so that I now lost the combat that I was in. But like that's because I had never played the card before, right? And then
I'm telling you that
and then I won the last 3 leagues I played.
I think I did. I think I did a bad job with my Replenish build, and I can fix that. I think that I would have lost a few of those matches anyways, and I think that the matches I won were freebies no matter what deck I was playing. Like, I'm just not going to lose to Soltari Priest with any deck that's in contention, except for maybe Grow a Mystic Enforcer.
Can't block it. I'm just telling you.
I also can't Pyroclasm it.
I'm just telling you, I would have never made that Corey Steel Cutter mistake after the first.
Yeah, but I didn't make mistakes. I've been playing Replenish for like 3 years, 2 years. Like I don't make no mistakes with the deck, but I have no excuse other than I need to build the list in a way that is like good and functional, and like otherwise I should just do what Rich is doing, right? Like it's just like, okay, well, Rich has played enough for this deck that that's better. Like I have plenty of hubris when it comes to my hypotheses, but I have no pride when it comes to time. Like, if somebody has played with the deck a lot more hours than I have, even if they have attunement at 4 copies and they never sideboard them out, I will never discount the fact that like that means more. Like, that is more valid than, my hypothesis, which is just that I hate casting this card, playing this card, or ever looking at it in my hand. Until I spend a reasonable amount of time in the opposite direction and have some kind of conclusion that, like, could possibly say it's like, okay, well, every time I drew Impulse instead of Attunement, it was, like, amazing. So, like, I'm going to replace Attunement with Impulse, which is something that I would consider. Impulse is probably better than Probe, but, if you want to discard cards, then Probe could be good. Not to mention putting a 3-mana down payment on an effective.
Name your deck really well.
Yeah.
Probe is really good then.
And if you want to put a 3-mana down payment on a looting effect, which you could activate for free and activate for free once again after you cast Replenish, Attunement is really good at that. Never going to deny it. The subsection of decks where that being good hits are not the decks that I think that I should beat, but maybe that's why I lost to random, like, whatever. I just don't understand. They keep in Attunement against Control. I'm just like, how? How do you get away with that? Are you keeping it because they're like trying to counter your Attunement or something instead of just like countering the one spell that I don't know. Or they're just doing it.
How do they win the matchup? Do they have Thawing Glaciers?
They are using Attunement to assemble a hand that is like triple Orm's Chant Replenish with Attunement.
I did it with like Abeyance You as a cantrip, and then they let it resolve in their turn, and then I just mana shorted them.
You can use Attunement to set that up as well too, I guess.
Yeah. So like that was a thing that I did. It was pretty effective. Also, I won the game ones a lot because if you draw a lot of soul lands, you can usually jam. They don't have that many counter spells, right? You can just jam them up by casting, 6 mana worth of cards instead of 2 mana worth of cards or whatever.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Any other random deck? Stasis?
I wouldn't play Stasis at Lobstercon. That's like, first of all, it's miserable. Second of all, that's like asking for maybe not a maximum number of games, but a maximum amount of time under tension.
Fair.
Like that's just like you win a lot of 1-0s or whatever, but you never get a chance to go over to the bar. You never get a chance to eat some of Rich Shea's hummus.
Fair.
You're just, I don't know, hoping your opponent has more than 4 cards in hand so that he takes a point of damage.
All right. The final one would be, I don't know, man. I think Tide Control just isn't it. I just don't.
Tide Control is super good. The decks the super good decks are Replenish, Tide Control, and 12/12 and Burn. And
you just keep sneaking Burn in there. Like Burn is just glomming on to get into the club. That's like you, right? And then like
it is literally
3 of your friends who are just like all either more attractive or smarter than you or just richer or something.
You're just describing my friend.
You're just like, hey, can we get in? It's like, wait, who's this guy? And they're like, they're like, look, he's with us. Look, there's three of us here. There's 3 of us. We're all hot and successful and really, really rich and powerful. And we just like him because he's funny.
Burn guy.
He
casts Jackal.
We just like you just don't get it. Like it just kind of works. He's kind of fun to have around.
In the red zone.
He writes articles about us. It's great. Like just let us in the club. Yeah,
that's exactly correct.
Yeah.
And top 8.
If he wasn't there, our win rate would be 46%. So we need him.
This is just like we can end on this. You know, we were in the top 4, whatever, top 8, top whatever it was in the trios tournament, and I don't know. I guess the judge had already decided we were going to win, even though we weren't in the finals yet. Asking us which foils we wanted, and like I didn't even know about the foils.
Just
right?
like promo cards or their prize pool?
Yeah, the prizes it's thousands of dollars in foils, right? Like we only came in second, so we could have gotten more expensive foils, I guess, but Andy can explain it better, I guess. I just wanted to play with my friends. I didn't care about the prizes, right? But the judge was just like, all right, what foils do you want? You know, presuming, you know, you finish wherever, and we were on the way to finishing wherever. And I said, it just doesn't matter, right? And like Detail and Andy are like, yeah, it just doesn't matter. And he's like, what do you mean it doesn't matter? I'm like, because I'm just going to tear up whatever foils you give me in order to increase the value of all other foils that exist. Right? I'm going to marginally increase their value by tearing them up. We did not tear up the foils.
They're hard to tear.
Well, I mean, that was just a bit. We didn't actually tear them up. Like I have it. Where is it? Right here. Where is it?
It's just like serialized dragon mocks.
I don't know. Apparently, this card is worth hundreds of dollars. I don't know.
Oh, there were different judge foil fetches. Those were released a long time ago, dude.
Yeah, no, but like if
those were released in the pre-modern era.
If I had won one more match, I would have gotten one that was worth like $281.
Yeah, it would have been. It just would have been. These are the new border foil art judge promos from 2009 of the original 5 fetches.
Yeah, like that one's worth like 130 or something.
Yeah, 126. But I'm sure Flooded Strand is like through the roof. People like to play those in Legacy. They're like,
yeah. So Andy says it's better we lost because then I got that for the meme deck.
Oh, true. You got a playable foil instead of one that you would sell and then just like.
No. I wouldn't sell it, right? Like it's just magic.
No, that's what I'm saying. You would have sold, like, if it was like Bloodstained Mire. I guess you would. No. If it was like Polluted Delta, you'd be like, I
probably own some of these in a binder, actually. Okay. Now that I think about it, I just never thought about it.
The Delta isn't that high, or the Delta between prices isn't that high. Flooded Strand is only 140, so.
No, but what's Polluted Delta? It's like 280.
Nah. If Strand is 140, then I doubt Delta is far ahead.
Look it up.
170.
Okay, well.
It's a meaningful difference.
Whatever.
It's not a huge difference.
Andy said it was better that we lost because I got a playable card for the meme deck.
Yeah. I mean, good on you.
Then he gave me this Ball Lightning, which is even more ridiculous than any Ball Lightning.
Yeah, Future Ciphering Ball Lightning.
So.
23andMe, once again, if you want to see the deck list, you'll have to scroll a bit, but it is in the Spike Colony Discord, which you can get access to for the low donation of like, I don't know, like $5,
Nothing.
I think. Yeah.
$1.
It's like $5. I don't think $1 is an option. But I will take some time to shout out the people that supported the podcast this month, because we should start doing that. We've been getting more and more support, almost to the point that I could probably give some of it to Mike. I'll probably just like buy him some shanks or something.
Shank Cabros?
Shank K Bros, yeah.
Shank Cabro.
It's funny because it's hard to actually like figure out who's done what. But anyways, I'm just going to spit some names out as thank yous because, it's a nice thing to do. So shout out to JP, Rich Bork, Ram V, Trading on Tilt. Special shout out, Spike Soldier tier. Phil Q, Score Data, Pancakes, Icorn, SWB, From the Beginning. Shout out to you, dog. Speaking of dogs, Trash Dog Adam Sitsis, the runner-up of the Sacred Torch Showdown, hopping into...
Sitsis was like a ringer
colony
for a while. He was also like top 4 at Bearded and something. I haven't seen him.
Yeah, well, he should be coming to the con, so we've got that. And then we got Tomas Alexandra and Dr. Manabase. And then Rich Busey also hopped on the train following Lobstercon, following when he was on the podcast. We also got Jutterman, Chris Local, Ryan Marvin, Island Home of the Duress Crew, Alex KJ, Andy Levine, of course, also since the beginning.
We have this many people who are in the Discord?
These are just the people who are recurring homies. So you can be like a one-time homie, you can be a recurring homie. Like Polager was a one-time homie, shout out to him. But you can be a recurring homie. t-shirts, hats. I got to get to work on that now that we're starting to like be like a t-shirt and hat sized podcast fandom. Sunny Binary Soloist. Shout out to all of y'all. All of y'all are super the best and super
Sonny, are you
supportive.
gonna come to the league or something? I told Sonny I'd give him this opalescence, but I forgot.
Yeah, you should probably sort that out. But he lives in Jersey now.
But
so
I
you
don't know
might
what I
have to
did
ship
with
him.
it. I had it on my desk, but then I didn't give it to him.
Sonny bought the survival off me that I got at Bearded, so that was kind of fun.
But I told him I'd give him this. I don't know what I did with it now. I thought it was here.
But yeah, anyways, that's all super hype. Pre-modern is excellent. We're gonna have one more podcast episode, and then it's just gonna be like the Lobstercon car episodes.
Whoa! Don't we have Grand Prix Andy Levine's house next weekend?
Yeah, Grand Prix Levine's should be happening. If I am too busy because it's like right before Lobstercon, I might not be able to make it. But yeah,
I straight up don't know what I did with this opalescence now.
that's hilarious. It's just like Japanese foil.
It's like
opalescence.
$1,000. I don't know what I did with it. It's not $1,000, right? It's like a Japanese foil opalescence stuff.
Yeah. It's definitely money. Because like non-foil opalescence are already like a bunch, and then it's Urza's. Isn't that like the first set that is Legacy is the first set that has foil? Destiny, Legacy.
I don't know. I swear I had it on my desk because I sent him a picture.
Kind of want to filter this just so that we know, even though we're just like again bad content, but you guys don't mind. All right, a little
Maybe they don't mind if they love this.
A little LP foil from TOA is going to run you $300. So
this has never been in a sleeve.
Okay, so like an HP foil is available for $100.
No, it has never been in a sleeve. I mean, it has never been shuffled up and dealt.
All right, an MP foil is going to do a cool $200. So yeah, anywhere from $100 to $300 depending on condition. I'm sure TOA would probably pay like
what did I do
something for it.
No, but I told Sonny you could have it.
Shout out to TOA. If anybody from TOA is listening, Spy Colony Podcast is looking for sponsors.
Oh, I found it.
I am now officially.
It was underneath some standard cards.
Nice.
There it is.
Looks good. I officially am part of the Mana Traders Partner Program. So if you want to play on Magic Online, use code Lanny at checkout. That gives me a little kickback and you a little discount. So I think that's pretty cool. And I also got accepted into the Magic Online Creators Program, which is funny because it means that I don't have to use Mana Traders to get cards anymore because now I have an account that just has all the cards.
Wait, how do I get that? I like invented doing Magic content on Magic Online.
Well, you can just use my account and then I'll use my creator account and then we can just play games.
Oh man.
Because you're not a Magic Online user or content creator right now. You're just Mike Flores.
Like I'm just like a doofus.
You're just the guy that snuck into the club.
Trying to get into the club.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I might get in.
Oh, you'll get in. Yeah. If anything, you'll sneak out the back, right? You'll talk your way into it. It's like that episode of New Girl where they get into Prince's house by being like, "Oh man, I haven't seen you since the war."
I used to love Zooey Deschanel so much. Oh my god.
Used to. It sounds like it's going to be a bad heel turn. The following sentence.
Just like I thought because I loved her from Elf, which is obviously like 22 years old now. I think, right? It's pretty old. Maybe not 22 years old, but it's been a while.
Yeah, Elf came out in the mid-early 2000s, I think.
Early aughts, yeah.
Yeah.
And I just thought she was just like the most perfect vision and like singing and all of that. But then like I don't know, she just seems like kind of insufferable now.
2003.
I was right.
Exactly 22 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, Elf is this like the millennial generation's best Christmas movie. That's for sure. I know Mano had Christmas movie countdown on his podcast, and Elf survival elf.
Oh my god, Lanny, what if? Hear me out here. We get Zooey Deschanel sleeves. You play Elves at Lobster.
Oh my god. The problem is those custom sleeves are too thick. I have an extremely hard time shuffling them.
I'm telling you, dude.
I might just get Zooey Deschanel custom sleeves for Sacred Torch, and run it. That just seems.
I mean, it should be Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell should be in.
No, I'm not putting Will Ferrell. I love 2002 Zooey Deschanel or 2003, whatever year it was.
Borderline. I guess it works if you have the one where she's dressed like an elf.
Yeah,
from the department store.
I bought multiple of her albums. I was like super into her.
Yeah,
she and him. But then she's just like
her Christmas
she's just
album's
so
pretty good.
affected. You know what I mean? Like how do I put this? She's just like. So
I think you should stop talking. Yeah, I think you should be careful what you say.
I'm not gonna say anything like horrible. It's like I'm just.
You might. You're capable.
I once said on a podcast that Taylor Swift wasn't as beautiful as Gwen Stefani.
It's very different flavors of beauty. We're talking apple pie and ice cream here, or it's pizza and ice cream. Sorry.
Which one's pizza?
Gwen Stefani.
I mean, I love pizza and I love ice cream.
That's why. That's why pizza and ice cream is the appropriate analogy.
Oh my god!
You love pizza and ice cream as much as you love effective analogies like the pizza and ice cream.
I love fried chicken. I love Zooey Deschanel.
All right,
get back around.
You know what I love?
Spike on.
Love Spike on.
All right, bye.